The mastermind secret that turns thoughts into gold. Look at your hands. Look at your life. Look at the reality you have built up to this very second. Is this the pinnacle of your destiny? Or is this the quiet compromise of a man who stopped reaching? You are carrying a ghost inside you, the ghost of who you were truly meant to be. Every morning you wake up, you make a cold choice. You either feed that ghost or you let it haunt your every step. You either step into the flame of discipline or you remain frozen in mediocrity. The world does not yield to wishes. The world does not care about your intentions. Reality yields to force. Reality yields to absolute definiteness of purpose. Before we go any deeper into these sacred principles, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel right now. By subscribing, you lock in your daily commitment to self-mastery, signal to your subconscious that you are serious about legacy, and join an elite mastermind of men who refuse to drift. Most men live in a state of perpetual paralysis. They drift from one week to the next without a compass. They react to their environment like autumn leaves blown by a cold wind. They let circumstances dictate their emotional state. They let fear draw the boundaries of their potential. They sit back, waiting for permission to be great. They wait for a rescue that will never, ever come. Listen to me clearly, and let these words pierce your soul. No one is coming to save you. No savior is going to carry your cross. No mentor is going to live your life or sweat your sweat. The key to the kingdom is already locked inside your hand. But you are looking outward when you should be tearing open your inner vision. You are looking for luck when you should be engineering unshakable leverage. Napoleon Hill understood a fundamental, unyielding law of human existence. Thoughts are things. Not soft metaphorical ideas, not floating passive concepts. They are real, heavy, tangible forces of physical nature. When a thought is mixed with definiteness of purpose, unrelenting persistence, and a burning desire that consumes your sleep, it inevitably forces itself into physical manifestation. But what do most weak men mix their thoughts with? They mix their thoughts with poison. They mix their thoughts with hesitation. They mix their thoughts with the cowardice of caring what their peers might say. And then they sit back in confusion, wondering why their lives reflect chaos, poverty, and internal collapse. You get back from the universe exactly what you project into the deep, silent vault of your subconscious mind. The old version of you must be destroyed. Read those words inside your mind until they burn away your excuses. The weak version of you, the one that seeks comfort, the one that rationalizes failure, the one that reaches for cheap dopamine and easy exits, must be systematically eliminated. You cannot step into a magnificent, immortal future while desperately clinging to the rags of your mediocre past. You cannot build a fortress out of broken promises you made to yourself in the dark. You must burn the ships at the harbor. You must lock the door on yesterday and throw away the key. The boy you were yesterday died when the sun broke over the horizon today. The man standing here right now is the sole architect of your family's legacy. What is the mastermind principle in its truest, highest form? It is not merely assembling a room full of smooth-talking advisors. It is the perfect, harmonious blending of two or more minds toward one definite, uncompromising objective. When two minds align with zero friction and absolute clarity, an invisible, intangible third power is born, a true mastermind. But hear this truth. Before you can ever hope to build a mastermind without her allies, you must establish a sovereign mastermind within your own skin. Your logic, your raw desire, your iron willpower, and your vivid imagination must stop fighting a civil war inside your chest. They must form an ironclad alliance. When your internal forces are unified, you cease to be a passive observer of life. You become a towering force of nature. Walk down any city street and look closely at the men who fail. They possess an endless catalog of reasons for their weakness. They blame the economy. They blame their parents. They blame the timing, the weather, and their lack of starting capital. They speak with tears in their eyes, as if they are helpless victims of a cruel personal universe. But hear me now. The universe is not cruel. The universe is utterly, magnificently indifferent. It merely reflects back the exact quantum of pressure you apply to it. If you apply weak, hesitant pressure, you receive weak, pathetic results. But if you apply relentless, concentrated, unwavering pressure day after day, year after year, the hardest granite of resistance crumbles into dust at your feet. Definiteness of purpose is the sledgehammer that shatters every wall in your path. Transmutation is the ultimate art of human self-mastery. Transmutation means taking raw, unrefined emotional energy and converting it into pure, focused creation. Do you feel violent anger rising in your chest? Do not waste it on petty arguments or pointless internet rants. Transmute it into relentless, cold physical focus. Do you feel deep, crushing pain from a past betrayal? Do not drown it in alcohol, drugs, or mindless distractions. Transmute that pain into fuel for absolute success. Do not dissipate your raw drive in cheap validation or fleeting pleasure. Transmute it into an obsession for your main life target. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. The master takes every spark of friction, every insult, every failure, and throws it directly into the furnace of his ambition. Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Read that distinction until it is carved into your brain. The vast majority of men surrender at the very first sign of severe opposition. They encounter a brick wall, and they instantly assume the road has ended forever. They call it failure, lay down in the dirt, and weep. But the master knows a secret temporary defeat is merely a screening test. It is a divine filtration system designed by destiny to separate the pretenders from the true kings. Destiny looks down at you when you are knocked flat on your back and asks a single question. Are you a man of unshakable purpose, or are you just a child with a wish? If you stand up, wipe the blood from your lip, fix your gaze forward, and strike again. Destiny has no choice but to bow before you. Specialized knowledge is the razor-sharp edge that slices through the chaotic noise of the world. General knowledge is largely useless if it is not organized, structured, and aggressively directed through practical plans of action. You do not need to know a million random facts. You need to know the precise, high-leverage mechanisms that govern your specific mountain. You must become a ruthless, obsessed collector of actionable truth. Read the heavy leather-bound texts that built empires. Study the strategies of generals and titans who conquered continents. Absorb principles that have survived centuries of plagues, wars, and economic collapses. Fill your mind with mental gold, and your bank account will reflect gold. Fill your mind with cheap garbage, and you will rot away into total irrelevance. Autosuggestion is the secret key to the vault of human power. Your subconscious mind is a dark, incredibly fertile garden. Whatever seed you drop into that soil will grow and bear fruit without discrimination. If you plant seeds of self-doubt, anxiety, and scarcity, you will harvest a miserable life of poverty, weakness, and regret. But if you plant seeds of absolute authority, unshakable confidence, and uncompromising discipline, your outer physical reality will transform before your eyes. You must speak to your subconscious mind not as a beggar asking for a favor, but as an absolute ruler issuing a decree. Command it. Tell it who you are. Repeat your major definite aim out loud every single morning and night until it becomes more real to you than the floor beneath your feet. Look at where you stand. You are standing at a dramatic crossroads in time. One path leads down into the misty, comfortable valley of mediocrity. It is smooth, easy to walk, and downhill all the way. It is packed tightly with millions of men who gave up on their dreams 20 years ago. They will welcome you with open arms and warm drinks. They will tell you that it is fine to take it easy, that you shouldn't push yourself so hard, that ambition is a mental disease. But at the end of that comfortable path lies the ultimate terrifying horror, a quiet, forgotten death without a legacy, surrounded by the crushing memory of what you could have become if you had only possessed the courage to fight. The other path goes straight up the jagged cliff face of the mountain. It is steep. It is razor sharp. It is brutally lonely. There are no cheering crowds standing at the base to clap for you. You will bleed on those cold rocks. You will sweat in the freezing wind. Your lungs will burn for oxygen. But as you climb higher and higher, something miraculous occurs. Your vision sharpens to a razor's point. Your spiritual muscles harden into steel. Your aura radiates a divine commanding power. You pass the abandoned campfires of the cowards who turned back. And when you finally step onto the absolute summit, bathed in the blinding golden light of the rising sun, you look down upon the world, not as a beggar praying for scraps, but as a sovereign master who conquered himself first. Definiteness of purpose requires brutal, systematic elimination. You must learn and practice the holy power of the word no. Say no to cheap entertainment that rots your brain. Say no to toxic, low-frequency associates who drag down your energy. Say no to gossip, to worthless drama, and to cheap bodily pleasures that leave you feeling empty and hollow 20 minutes later. Your time is not just money. Your time is your actual life's blood, tick by tick. Every hour you surrender to trivial nonsense is an hour stolen from the foundation of your legacy. Guard your time like a dragon guarding a mountain of gold. Treat your mental focus as your most sacred weapon. When a man takes complete dictatorial control over his own attention, he takes complete divine control over his physical reality. What is your major definite aim? Can you speak it aloud in one clear, terrifyingly powerful sentence right now without stuttering? If you cannot, then admit the truth. You are drifting. And a ship drifting in the open ocean without a rudder does not magically land in paradise. It smashes against the dark rocks and sinks to the bottom. Write your goal down on paper in bold black ink. Make it precise. Make it terrifying. Put a hard deadline on its execution. Define the exact blood and sweat price you are willing to pay to achieve it. Because there is always a price, and the universe keeps flawless accounting. Success is never put on sale, and it never grants credit. You pay full price up front, in advance, through relentless sacrifice, agonizing labor, and obsessive focus. Your imagination is the supreme architectural workshop of your soul. Everything ever erected by human hands, every towering skyscraper, every intercontinental vessel, every financial system, every masterpiece of art was once nothing more than an invisible silent thought inside the skull of one resolute individual. Look at the ancient stone monuments that have survived millennia. They were forged by men who dared to trust their inner blueprint over the limitations of their present environment. Do not allow your current poverty, current weakness, or current obscurity to dictate the scale of your imagination. Your present physical circumstances are merely the stale, dead residue of your past thinking. Change your dominant thoughts this very second, and your physical circumstances will alter with mathematical precision. True faith is not passive, weak waiting for something good to happen. True faith is aggressive, dominant militant expectation backed by relentless physical action. Faith is taking a massive leap into a dark room, knowing with absolute certainty that solid ground will manifest beneath your feet. It is the exact frequency that bridges the gap between your mortal mind and infinite intelligence. When you move with absolute faith in your major definite aim, terror completely loses its grip on your soul. Obstacles that once looked like insurmountable mountains suddenly transform into small stepping stones beneath your boots. The weak onlookers will watch your sudden rise and call it magic. They will whisper in envy and call it luck. But you will know the cold, quiet truth. It was the inevitable physical yield of a mind that refused to break. The habit of doing more than you are paid for is the undeniable mark of royalty. Most men perform the absolute bare minimum required to avoid getting fired or to survive another month. They measure out their energy on a delicate scale, terrified of giving away an extra drop of effort without immediate compensation. The master operates on a higher cosmic law, the law of compounding returns. When you deliver far more value than is expected, when you execute every task with magnificent excellence regardless of immediate reward, you build a massive reservoir of spiritual and practical momentum. That momentum eventually explodes through every ceiling. You become irreplaceable. You command deep, silent respect without ever opening your mouth to demand it. Look into the painted eyes of history's ultimate achievers. Study the stone statues of kings, conquerors, philosophers, and industrial titans. What is that common thread burning in their gaze across the centuries? It is a quiet, intense, terrifying flame. It is the gaze of men who made a permanent pact with themselves. They would rather die screaming on their feet than live a long, comfortable life on their knees in quiet obscurity. They were not born with magic in their veins. They were mortal men, flawed, bloodied, and challenged just like you. But they discovered the master key to absolute discipline, and they held on to it with a grip that death itself could not break. They conquered their internal doubts, harnessed their raw desires, and forced the history books to write their names in gold. The exact same blood runs through your heart. The exact same infinite potential slumbers in your brain, waiting to be awakened. The time for weak excuses is permanently over. The hour of absolute decision has arrived. No more waiting for next Monday to start. No more waiting for the perfect weather, the right mood, or the permission of people who will not be there to carry your coffin when you die. Stand up straight right now. Pull your shoulders back. Clear your mind of every trace of toxic hesitation. Look directly into the mirror of your own soul and demand uncompromising, terrifying greatness from the man staring back at you. The old you is dead and buried. The weak, lazy version has been incinerated in the furnace of this moment. A new ruler rises right now from the ashes. A man of iron will, unbreakable concentration, and absolute definiteness of purpose. Step out into the world and claim the empire that is rightfully yours.